Joining us tonight, Chris Farrell. He's Director of Investigations and Research for Judicial Watch. It's great to have you with us. How deeply do you believe Orr to be connected to Christopher Steele, the former MI6 spy, and to the entire effort to discredit first the president's campaign and then his administration?
Well, first, that's a devastating piece of journalism by Catherine Herridge. Probably the best single recap I've heard. And it points out that Orr is the linchpin in all of this. Through his wife's connection or employment at Fusion GPS, and then him taking information and funneling it back into the FBI and DOJ, operating way outside the scope of his authority, really abusing his position in office. This shows literally the components of the conspiracy, the connections between the persons involved, their contact, the frequency of contact, the subject matter, all of it circles around Orr at this point. And it's the indictment that's been put forth in the report by Catherine Herridge, it's devastating.
Devastating, but we have seen other devastating evidence as we have been going through this long national nightmare, the Mueller witch hunt. What will come of it? What can come of it? Once again, the American people are frustrated, even as Congress will be talking with Bruce Orr, because we're not going to have a window, nor will we be able to hear his words. It is very tough to continue on this path where even those who are trying to provide oversight are not able, or at least at this time, clever enough to come up with a way to share the revelations with the American people.
Well, I think, service is being done here to get that message out, Lou. Let's be clear that, in the case of other conspiracies or other scandals, you've heard the expression drip, drip, drip. Well, there's now a mountain of evidence of these connections, of all these characters that Catherine laid out. And it's at a point now where it cannot be ignored. The layers of the onion are being peeled back. It's a slow, tedious process.
I'm sorry, Chris. I've got to ask you. I mean, you would think that the Department of Justice couldn't ignore any of the material, the evidence, the items, the documents, the texts that have come forward here. You would think that the FBI could not. And to the credit of the FBI, at least its Office of the Inspector General has done a credible job in trying to bring that information forward. But we're a long way from solutions here.
We are, and that rests upon the head of Mr. Rosenstein, who is blithely sitting by, feeding the fires of the Mueller witch hunt, and scrupulously ignoring the mountain of evidence that's been built up, pointing in the exact opposite direction of an incredibly corrupt FBI and DOJ attempting to steer the outcome of a presidential election.
And John Brennan, the former Obama CIA director, attacking relentlessly the President of the United States, his security clearance lifted. I cannot tell you how appalling it is to hear a number of people who, frankly, I think have great credibility and great standing, defending his free speech rights as a reason not to lift his security clearance. Your reaction?
Look, Brennan has gone off the deep end. He's discredited himself. He's disgraced himself. None of these former officials, whether they're heads of departments or agencies, none of them are owed a security clearance. It's a privilege, not a right. And his conduct has been so outrageous that he's disqualified himself, to include his op-ed today in the New York Times. And frankly, an awful lot of these guys, these former whatever they used to be, who still hold on to clearances, they're leveraging that. It's a resume.
Let's be honest, they're
item.
Monetizing it. They're living off of it. It is a pass to the party for those who want to stay in the swamp and prosper, and to do so under this in this club of those who possess security clearances, and most often it seems to be for no good reason. Certainly no reason that is in the national interest.
President Trump's decision to revoke Brennan's clearance is one of the best, smartest things he's done. It's anti-swamp and it's anti-corruption.
I want to very quickly read you something from Senator Richard Burr, who is the chairman of the Senate Intel Committee. And for the first time, represented by his statement released by his office today, he is defending the President of the United States. He is quoted, Director Brennan's recent statements purport to know as fact that the Trump campaign colluded with a foreign power. If Director Brennan's statement is based on intelligence he received while still leading the CIA, why didn't he include it in the intelligence community assessment released in 2017? If his statement is based on intelligence he has seen since leaving office, it constitutes an intelligence breach. If he has some other personal knowledge of or evidence of collusion, it should be disclosed to the special counsel, not the New York Times. If, however, Director Brennan's statement is purely political and based on conjecture, the president has full authority to revoke his security clearance as head of the executive branch, end quote. I think that is a suggestion of a real change in the tides of affairs in Washington. What do you think, Chris?
I agree, and I think I'm glad that Senator Burr finally woke up and decided to step up and do something positive and state the facts as they are. So I'm encouraged by it. He's kind of dropped the ball other places, but on this point...
This is the first time he's ever defended the president. I think there's a reason, and I think the reason is that the evidence is so compelling that the Clinton corruption, the Obama politicization of all of the intelligence community, and then pursuing ideological ends at the expense of the national interest is the reason that I think we have seen a turn in what I think is going to be a substantial turn in the tides of this affair, the end of the Mueller witch hunt, certainly in the offing.
The winds have shifted.
Yes, sir. Chris Farrell, thanks for being among those who helped shift those winds. We appreciate it. Good to see you.
Thank you, Lou.